This video is intended to help you download RStudio onto your personal computer. First, go to our Canvas page, and under our Canvas page, go to Modules. You'll see a tab, R and RStudio. Then go ahead and click on Download RStudio. If you open this, it'll open it up to the RStudio webpage where you can choose which version you would like to use, and I'll make this a little bit bigger, which version of RStudio you would like, depending on your personal computer. So I'm using a Windows-based computer, so I will use the Windows version of RStudio. Note, you cannot download RStudio without first downloading R. So it's important to first download R, and then RStudio is an add-on. It's just a nicer user interface. I highly recommend this for Mac users in particular, as any video that I show using Studio or regular R will be very similar if you're using RStudio. Using the general version of R, there'll be subtle differences that might give you a couple more headaches. So go ahead and click on the version that you'll need. I'm going to click on the Windows Vista 7, 8, and 10 because I'm using a PC. Down here, it'll start to download. Of course, this will look a little bit different on your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while this downloads. Great, so once it takes a few seconds, few minutes to download, go ahead and click on the download icon to start the actual download onto your computer. Press yes, go through all the warnings. It should be fine on your computer. And start with the setup wizard. Again, this should take just a few minutes, so go ahead and wait a little bit depending on your internet speed. And once the download is complete, go ahead and press finish. Now you should be able to go to your desktop and see the RStudio icon. If you notice that the RStudio icon isn't on your desktop, it's possible that it's under the apps application in your Windows 8, 9, or 10. Go ahead and check there if you don't see an RStudio icon like you don't see on my desktop. That's where I found my RStudio. Once you find it, go ahead and open it up. And this is what RStudio looks like. It has the same capabilities as R, except it looks a little bit prettier. There's the R console window. Here's a plot window and some other help windows. And then here is a global environment, which will show you the variables that you've been using in the last couple of analyses. So the first step is always to open a new script file. You can do that using this button here. It's a little green button. It says R script. Or you can just go to File like we did in regular R. File, R script, and an R script will open. This is the best place for you to write in commands. So the first step is to obtain some data. So we're going to upload a data set, CRV, that I'm going to call CRV data. This will be equal to then the command read.csv. And notice how RStudio actually, once I start typing, will open up certain options for me that are similar to what I'm typing for commands. So it says read.csv as a command, and then I can read about it if I click over here. So I always wrap my commands with parentheses. Then I'm going to put in file.choose. This will allow me to easily choose a file from anywhere on my computer. I know that this particular file has the first row as the variable name, so I'm going to write this in as header equals true. Now all I need to do to run this line is to put my cursor at the end of it, then put run. I can also highlight it and press Ctrl R. Now a new window will pop up, and as you see, you can't see any window that's popped up, so I have to look a little bit lower, and I see that it has come up as a new window. It's just behind the other windows. So I open this up, I look for the data set that I want to open. Here it is, CRV MPG. I click on this, press open. And sure enough, over here in my global environment, I now see CRV data. It says 25 observations with one variable. This means I've uploaded the correct data set. But if I want to look at the first 6 lines of this data set, then I can use the command head. Want to wrap it with parentheses, and then I'll put in my data set name, so CRV data. Then do Control R or Command Enter if you're using a Mac. Or I can run the line again by using this run command. Now you notice down here in the R console, my commands have been entered. I can see that MPG starts with a value of 26.2, then 28.4, and so on. So it looks like I've uploaded a quantitative data set. So from here, I can then do a histogram of my data set if I want to look at it, and I can do that by then calling the command hist, wrapping it with parentheses. Then the data set I want to use it from is CRV data. I'm going to then call the variable using the $ command of MPG. Now notice how RStudio actually allowed me to just even click on the variable because it knows that those are the variables that are associated with the dataset CRV data. Now that I have my command and my data and my variable, I'm going to press run again. And over here, I get my plot. So this is the plot window. Let's suppose I did a different plot, perhaps maybe a box plot. So the command for box plot is simply just box plot. Then I put in CRV data, $MPG, and I run this command. I now have a box plot of the data. If I want to go back to my histogram, all I need to do is put the arrow over and I can see previous plots that I've created. This is very helpful when you're doing a complex analysis. Now if I want to get an average or something like that, then I can do mean, CRV data, attach the variable MPG, go ahead and run this section, and down here in the console window, I get then the average of my variable, 25.268. Pretty straightforward. Now let's say I have a data set that doesn't come from a CSV file and I just want to enter in some data. Maybe I want to call this my data. Well, my data is equal to C. This will combine the values into a vector, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I can put in anything I want here. So if I'm doing a homework assignment and just want to add in values, I can do this by entering in the values and separating them with commas. Now I should run this line. So now my data comes up over here in the global environment as these 5 values. Now I can look at my data. If I just type in my data, it'll show me what it is down here in my console window. If I want to calculate a mean or anything, then I do mean my data, run this section, and sure enough, I get an average of 3. So if I don't have a data set that is in a file and I just want to enter in some numbers, I can do that using the C command and separating the values using a comma. This video is intended to help you just get started with R. All other R code will be available for data analyses, but this is a nice tutorial on how to just get started with RStudio.